Right, I'm going in the comms box.
Have a
Best
good
luck,
one.
Meg.
Cheers,
And,
man.
yeah, I'll catch you later.
See you later, dude.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to SimPlay Motorsport. My name is Dan Davis, and I'll be bringing you all the action here once again for the GT4s here at SimPlay Motorsport. Round 2 of the season, and we are at the most famous circuit of them all, Spa-Francorchamps. An iconic circuit here, a really heavy demanding circuit, and a night's worth of racing where I think these GT4s are really going to be pushed to their limits. As you can see, the weather is looking a bit cloudy here today at Spa-Francorchamps. We got a air temperature of 14 degrees and a track temperature of 18 degrees as well. Track currently at optimum, and like I said, this is going to be an interesting night's worth of racing. The first week we introduced our reverse grid championship series. Every single series will have a reverse grid, and that is obviously based on the championship standings as well. So obviously if you are leading the championship, we will be starting from the back of the pack, and so on and so forth. Also as well, for the GT4s, there's no BOP introduced for these cars. It is purely based on success ballast, and again, if you are leading the championship, you will be carrying that ballast. And as we look here on the side of the screen, the cars that will be carrying the weight, and Tordok is one of them. 40 kilos he'll be carrying on board for him for this time out. 35 kilos for Jamal Clouden, 30 kilos for Silth, while where is 25 kilos for Will Friedman, 20 kilos for Hubert, 15 kilos for Kieran O'Reilly, 10 kilos for Matthew Duffin, and then 5 kilos, I believe, is then the next car, as 5 kilos is not on here. So those are the guys that will be carrying the weight. Good evening, Gary Clarball in the chat. Also, if there's new drivers to the championship, they will be instantly carrying that weight as well. As we got Carlos, a new driver as well, carrying 20 kilos. That is obviously the penalty for joining the series, not at the beginning. And he'll be carrying that weight, and he'll be starting from the back of the grid as well. Obviously with that gives a rough idea of what the championship standings is looking like, and it looks like this. There's me about to read the pros, and when I'm not reading the pros, it is the GT4s we want, more importantly. So it's Tordok who's leading the way in the championship ahead of Jamal Clouden in second. Silth is sitting in that third place position with Will Friedman sat in P4, P5 is Hubert, and P6 is O'Reilly, P7 Duffin with Rock in P8. Hibbs P9 with McGowan in P10, Old Sim Racer in 13th with Stardog in 14th place position. Read that really weirdly then, sorry. Old Sim Racer is 11th with Stardog in 12th place position. Johnson is sat in that 13th place position with Fernie in 14th. 15th place position is going the way of Taylor with Ramsell sat in 16th place position. 17th is the way of Cummins, while in 18th is Wright. 19th is Aberdeen, while in 20th is Smith. 21st is Leach with Skunky in 22nd. O'Brien 23rd with Betterson in 24th. Besley in 25th, with Myers in 26th, Tipping in 27th, 28th is Wheel Millington in 29th, Marsden in 30th, Grable in 31st, and Unsworth in that 34th position. Still yet to score a point are the guys at the bottom of the table, but hopefully they will manage to do so later on this season. A lot of cars still in the pits, making a few little tweaks and changes to their cars. Regarding the team's championship, it is MSA Racing leading the way with a 48-point advantage over the Greasy Bandits Racing in second place. Third place is Old School Racers. Fourth is Unknown Racing, and in fifth is SimPlay Racing. Sixth is Team Tom. Audio Sport in seventh. Eighth is Quadrant Motorsport. Piston Pumpers are in that 9th place position, while Blunt Force Racing is in 10th. That's been put under there. So Cam Racing is in 12th place position, while in 13th is RBGT team, with Old Git Racing in 14th place. Cloud9 Racing in 15th, with the Roadrunner Motors in 16th. Star Wolf Racing in 17th, and bringing up the rear is Lexi Industries Racing as well. So there's a rundown of your championship standings. Make sure, guys, you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel as well, and hit that bell to be notified so you don't miss anything here at SimPlay Motorsport. Regarding the action that is happening out on track, it is Will Friedman who is currently leading the way in his Porsche and looking quite comfortable in that cut. As I say that, he goes a little bit squirrely through Eau Rouge and Radion. With Kieran O'Reilly sat in second, still in third place position, doing really well in our Ginetta, considering it's going to be a slight straight line advantage here. With Tordok sat in that 4th place position. Wright has now gone into 5th, and that is the running of your top 5 at the moment. But let's have a quick chat about this fantastic circuit that is Spa-Francorchamps, as I will get the circuit information up on your screen momentarily. And there we have it on your screen in a few moments time. We have Spa-Francorchamps. Circuit length is 4.3 miles long, or in kilometers that is 7 kilometers long. Number of corners, there is 19 corners, and there is 9 to the left and 10 to the right. Pole position will start on the right hand side. For the ACC, a lap record round here is a 2:14.9 done in the Ford Mustang GT3. The most successful drivers round here is Dan Davis and Overtaker as well. And that is a quick rundown of Spa-Francorchamps. Obviously some famous corners such as Pouan, Eau Rouge and Radion, No Name, you know, there's all those fantastic corners, the bus stop, and yeah, this is really showing some fantastic racing over the years as well. So like I said, next stop in the calendar, we've just done Brands Hatch, and we are now at Spa-Francorchamps for the second round of the season. Third round of the season will be at Indianapolis, and that's going to be our morning race. Well, round 4 of the championship will be down under at Bathurst Mount Panorama. Silverstone will be round 5, while round 6 is Kyalami. Round 7 is going to be our first night race at Imola, while round 8 will be the Nürburgring. Round 9 we head to the Red Bull Ring, which will be our final night race of the season, while round 10 will be Orton Park. Round 11 is Watkins Glen, and our season finale once again will be Donington Park as well. So there you go, that is our calendar. This is our GT4 season, and it's already hotting up after a brilliant opening season already, with Brands Hatch starting everything off. And what a dramatic race we had there. All sorts of great fights was happening left, right and centre. Let's have a look at any other drivers out. So we'll go on board with Ian McGowan, who is in his Mercedes-Benz. Obviously, Matthew Duffin we need to keep an eye on this evening. Currently, his partner is in hospital at the minute, possibly their new child being born. Maybe today, might be a false alarm, who knows, but Matthew Duffin is on red alert just in case he does need to shoot off. But Matthew Duffin will see what he can do this evening. Regarding milestones, let's have a quick look at the weekly roundup. Milestones, McLaren need 3 wins to make it 100th. And for the GT4s, Matt Wright and Kieran O'Reilly in race 2 will make it their 50th appearance here in the GT4s. Regarding GT4 qualifying bans, Gary Clarball has got one, as has Fraser O'Brien for retiring out last time at Brands Hatch. So those are all you need to know is for this evening. And once these guys are about to get underway for their formation lap, we will get through the reverse grid as we are coming towards the end of this practice session. And I'm going to try and find a driver that's in the far end of the circuit. There we go. O'Reilly will do beautifully. Oh, okay, maybe not O'Reilly then. As good old ACC never wants you to do what it tells you to do. That's how I wanted to do an onboard with a driver. We'll do bang on. So here we're on board with O'Reilly. As he heads into turn number 1, making sure the front end gets turned in, opting to stay in second gear there, which is an interesting move. But gets a good exit out of the first hairpin and then heads his way down to the famous Eau Rouge and Radion sequence of corners. GT3s can take it flat, GT4s cannot, they have to have a lift. But nonetheless, a great run up the hill for O'Reilly. He needs to keep that momentum going all the way up the hill. And he's currently up on his time, as you can see in the left-hand corner, or you won't be able to see in the left-hand corner. I will though. He's currently up on his time as he heads towards the tricky chicane, braking and dropping down to second gear. He's opting for a third gear corner. And again, carrying that momentum through the corner, changing up to fourth to keep the rear end stable and get a good exit as he then heads down towards the tricky, heavy braking of the right-hander downhill corner. Car's always moving as you head downhill. Once again, short shifting up into third gear to get a good run through into a no maim, and he took a little bit too much curve, making the rear end slide a little bit too much. Lost a couple, maybe lost a tenth or two there as he then heads into the famous Pouon corner. Again, riding the curves, trying to take as much of an entry as he can to get the car turned in as he then exits out of there, heading down towards the tricky right-hander and left-hander of these long sweeping chicanes. Again, down to third gear. Still currently up on his time, short shifting the fourth. Once again, get a good exit out of there. Don't want to push limits. He has just invalidated his lap time, so this will not count. But out through the tricky section of the middle sector. Get a good exit through here to carry that speed all the way down the back straight towards the bus stop chicane. Just ahead of him is Matt Wright. It'd be nice to get a little bit of a toe if he did have one into this fast left-hander. Again, GT3s will be flat, but sadly not for the GT4s. As he comes up to the heavy braking zone, if he had kept this in track limits, he would have been up by 0.4 of a second. So Riley probably would have taken pole position. He's now currently up 0.6, so obviously lost a lot of time in the chicane. As he now comes back to the start-finish line and crosses the line, that would have been a 29.5 for Kieran O'Reilly, and a solid lap time from him. I'm going to try, obviously, working on getting a keyboard so that we can so I can change the cameras easier, but obviously this is how best I can do it. But nonetheless, O'Reilly would have gone fastest with that with a 29.5. Sadly, he lost a lap due to track limits. And luckily the camera's not going to be strange as they go through there. But Will Friedman still fastest of them all. Let's see you guys in the chat. Diego Flores, hello. Image has zoom. Not sure what you're saying there. Good evening from Benedict Varga as well. Spa, my beloved circuit, he says, and onboard cameras are a nice addition. Yeah, like I said, once I get a keyboard, I will be able to constantly do it more often. But right now, I've got the keyboard working the computer, so that I can, guys, give you the stream. So, like I said, I will invest in a keyboard over the weekend, so that next time out, you should have all the camera views, including onboards as well. So let's hear you guys in the chat who we thinking is looking quite competitive here tonight at Spa. It's definitely looking like a power circuit, as the Alpines do seem to might struggle a little bit, but Sylth in that Ginetta is looking rather quick, so we'll keep an eye on him and his pace this evening. Matt Wright looking very good in that Alpine at the minute. The next highest Alpine is Fraser O'Brien, and then the Ginetta of Myers. So you can see where all the time is lost is just purely through just power from these cars. As we have a look at the times, Friedman has got the fastest middle sector and obviously the fastest time overall, while O'Reilly's got the fastest first sector by quite a significant amount as well. So you can see where the drivers are just missing here or there, but O'Reilly fastest first sector, Friedman fastest middle sector, and the fastest final it's actually gone to Matt Wright. So Matt right there looking quite competitive in that Alpine, even in the even in the long straights. But as Wright comes to the line now, he's 6/10 off the pace. O'Reilly, though, is he improved? No, he is going to move to one side of the circuit. And we are now coming to the end of this practice session. 2 minutes left to go. Matt Ingram in the chat saying Matt Wright is my man. And hopefully he can continue his good form. Currently 6th at the minute. Currently in the way of an Aston Martin, and he moves to one side, allowing the Aston through. Will Friedman just gains a little bit more time there and extends the gap to O'Reilly, and you can see there he's trying to get every slipstream he can possibly get out of that car. That's another MSA driver. This is Carlos, his debut here at Spa-Francorchamps, and obviously you'll be seeing him starting from the back of the pack for the reverse grid that is coming up in a few moments time. And obviously guys, if you are new to SimPlay Motorsport, this is how the GT4s are going to work. Like I said, they're currently in this practice session. They've got a minute left to get their final tweaks and dials done now, as they will then head into a reverse grid start. And that's based off the championship standings, as I read through them earlier on. We're going to be looking at a reverse grid of that, so the guys at the back has more of an opportunity to try and win the sprint race, while the guys at the top in the championship have to work a little bit harder to gain those points. Obviously, points means prizes, and they've got to make sure that they get to the end of this race. Pit stop is required as well. Benny in the chat, good luck, Will and Duff. Sorry, can't make it yet again, but some things aren't meant to be. We'll have to have a look into that, Benny. We'll have a message Matthew Duffin of what's going on, and he'll make sure that he can get it sorted for you next time out. But yeah, we'll make sure we get that all done and dusted. Once we then get the reverse grid going, they'll have a 20-minute sprint race. Obviously, a pit stop is required due to the way that ACC works. We can't just run two races with one with a qualifying, one without. It has to be the one with both or one without both. So that's how it's going to work. So they will have to do a pit stop. They have to enter 1 litre of fuel, and that'll hold them for 25 seconds. If they opt to add tyres, that will be an additional 5 seconds to their stop. Once then the sprint race is done, I will make a note of where everyone came, and then we will go into a 10-minute practice session, followed by a 5-minute qualifying session. Obviously, some drivers have been told that they do have qualifying bans to serve, so as long as they serve them, we shouldn't have any issues. There's only a couple of cars left out on track. That is the 144 of Unsworth. But like I said, make sure that those guys do their qualifying bans, and then 5 minutes around this circuit is going to be tricky to get the lap times in. It would be tricky to get those lap times in, especially it's a 2.5-minute lap flat out, let alone trying to get out. So it's going to take them 3 minutes alone just to get to the back to the start finish line. And then obviously they'll go into a 45-minute feature race. Benny in the chat, can we play a game to see if we can figure out who on the grid didn't confirm they're racing tonight? You can try your very best if you like, Benny. But we are going to get things underway here very shortly, as I will try. Probably end up getting locked. But we'll try our best to try and get the cameras right. So like I said, guys, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell to be notified so you don't miss anything here at SimPlay Motorsport. Follow our Facebook page and head over to our Discord as well. Twitter also is in the description as well. What else is in the description is our fantastic sponsors, Design Manchester's producers of vinyl graphics, laser engraved gifts, mugs, printed clothing, and much, much more, including SimPlay merchandise. Also, Audio Sport, manufacturers of Volts, VW T4, transporter, audio solutions, and silent products. Head over to www.audiosport.co.uk.
30 seconds.
30 seconds until they will get going to start their formation lap, and what a long formation lap that is. Another reminder as well, as you'll see it popping up in the screen momentarily, it's our end of season event. We have the Nürburgring 24-hour, the fight against cancer between ourselves and FBR. Paul Williams, obviously the leading ambassador for all this. Obviously, this is our fight against cancer. Horrible thing that is cancer, and together we're going to be working our very best to try and stop as much as we can and raise as much money as a community. And we're going to take on the hardest challenge of them all, the Nordschleife. So a 24-hour race of the Nordschleife, May bank holiday weekend. Make sure you tune in for that one. As the drivers now lead the way off the grid, it is Hunt who is on pole position, and this should be the grid order. Hopefully I should have it all working. So on the screen now, you should be able to see the grid order, and we will have the Hunt on pole position ahead of Andrews. With him alongside, Unsworth is going to be starting in that 3rd place position ahead of Marsden in that 4th place position. Then it's going to be Millington and Wheel in 5th and 6th, with Tipping and Myers taking that 7th and 8th place position. Okay, it's not quite right, I don't think, because Myers is actually starting in 8th, where it says on 9th, so 8th there. Betterston, that's the one who's in the server. He's in the wrong position. Vestie's in the wrong position as well. So anyway, I'm going to read it as is. Skunky will start in 13th place position, with 14th will be Smith. And then ahead of them will be Aberdeen and Wright, starting alongside each other. Followed by Ramsell and Taylor. And then just behind Ramsell and Taylor will be Wright and Johnson. Barclock and then Gasby. Followed by McGowan and then Hibbs. Then it's going to be Duffin with the 10 kilos on board, and O'Reilly with 15 kilos. Then it's going to be Hubert with 20 and Will Friedman with 25. Stills with 30, and then Clouden with 35. Tordock with 40 kilos, and Carlos with 20 kilos as well. And Gary Leach at the back of the pack, and that is your grid order for Spa-Francorchamps. And we are already halfway around the circuit, and 2 drivers have ended up in the pits. That is the Jackal. He usually misses the first race. There is another car, as Duffin has returned to the pits, so obviously he's had to bail for some reason. Who else is in the pit lane? I'm trying to see who else. Not that I can, not no one obvious that I can see. As we're about to get underway for the first race here tonight. Like I say, guys, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell to be notified. As there's going to be Hunt and Andrews starting us off here tonight. I'm going to try this camera trick real quickly. So hopefully we can have at least the outside cams for this one. We have to go in drive, sadly, for the start of this race. But it's Porsche versus Mercedes. It's an all-German front row here at Spa-Francorchamps. I believe it's the 663 of Johnson, so he's ended up back in the pits as well. So the grid order is a little bit messed up due to that, but nonetheless, we have got a grid order. And that's all that matters as they head into the official start-finish straight, but they will not start until they get onto the run up towards Eau Rouge and Radion, as they now start to work their way into a formation. as they will now start to go in 2 by 2. Guys, get your predictions on who you think is going to win this first race. As I'm going to type as quickly as I can as they come to the final corner. As we now just wait for the drivers to go green here for the sprint race at Spa-Francorchamps. As we wait for the green any moment now. And we are green and go here at Spa as they head up towards Eau Rouge and Radion for the first time. And already, by the looks of things, we've got a little bit of carnage. There's cars already absolutely everywhere. All sorts of carnage, cars off left, right and centre. McGowan's facing the wrong way as they all managed to work their way up through Eau Rouge and Radion, but it is still Hunt leading the way at the moment. Down towards the chicane they go, and it is Hunt leading the way as the rest of the pack come flying their way through, tipping in the middle of all this, as is Ramsel. And down towards the right-hander they come. Once again, the camera is annoyingly changed as I got things underway. Stupid ACC. Oh, as we see there, Myers has had a tap. He's had to cut the no-name there, and he manages not to get in the way of anyone as everyone else starts to fan their way through. O'Reilly, meanwhile, has had a fantastic start, starting from the back. He's already up to 14th place position. Who else has had a good Skunky's not really gone very far. He's dropped a little bit further back. Will Friedman, nor him, as Hubert's now on his way up as well. But it's still Hunt leading away and pulling away by quite a bit here. An easy race start for him at the minute as he starts to drag away from the others. And there you can see a gaggle of cars all fighting positions here. Vesely in the middle of all this with tipping right behind them as they all try and negotiate and find their way into their pecking orders. And they finally all find a position. Clouden, meanwhile, the two Chevys of Hubert and Clouden have gone together and they're trying to work their way through this pack as quickly as they possibly can. And I think Matthew Duffin has got into the race. Yes, he has. And he's not a million miles away either. So he is going to still be scoring some decent points here. Possibly opted to start from the pit lane to avoid any carnage. But after the first lap here, they cross the line and it's Herbert and Hunt leading the way ahead of Hunsworth, ahead of O'Brien. O'Brien has had a decent start there. Andrews dropping down the order. He's got Ramsel, O'Reilly and Marston right there with him. And O'Reilly's got a bit deep through turn one. He's run wide, but he manages to collect it. And he's gone still side by side with Ramsel. Meanwhile, O'Brien, is he looking to make a move on Unsworth? No, he's not. He's not quite close enough. But through the S's we go, and O'Reilly has cleared the Aston Martin, and this is where everyone else will come flying up towards Eau Rouge and Radion. We've got a couple of damaged cars, all trying to survive the first couple of laps here. And there, there's a big moment there for Stardog. He's into the wall. Major damage to that Mercedes. And that will be his race done. The Jackal obviously waiting to come out for the next race. But Hunt checked out, and O'Brien has now cleared Unsworth, and upper position he goes. Meanwhile, Hubert is now on the attack of Marsden. And looking left, looking right. Can Hubert find a way through? And the Genetic gives him a shove, but both of the Chevy Camaros go right round the outside, and a position gain for them. Meanwhile, just behind them, John Andrews, still a little bit of a mobile chicane for everyone else. Vesti and Gary Leach now on the move as well. So Gary's looking to try and fight and make some moves done here. Onto the grass goes to BMW, and that is Andrews and Vesely come together. Where has he gone? He's gone across the chicane there. And he's dropped right down the order now, falling behind a few cars. Meanwhile, further back, Matthew Duffin trying to work his way through the order. And he goes around the outside of Betterson and gets that job done. As a driver dropping down the order, that must be Skunky. He's got damage to the front of his car. Startup is back in the pits. And Carlos struggling to work his way forward at this stage. Obviously, he's got a little bit of damage to his front end as well. But Hunt crossing the line once again. O'Brien is trying to come and bring that gap down, and he is. Unsworth is in third. Kieran O'Reilly also just taking Ramsdell with him to try and chase the leaders down. The pit window has opened. Is anyone opting to pit? That is Silth, who is in the pits, and a few others all bailing towards the pit lane to try and get their damages done, as there is still Friedman, Taylor, Duffin, Betterson and Wright all trying to get their pit stops done early, and I don't think Matt has got damage. But there we see Hunt leading the way, but O'Brien is looking to bring that gap down. The little Alpine, can he take a win here? Unsworth not a million miles away as O'Reilly tries to hunt all three of these guys down. Ramsdell sticking with him though, as Myers there just goes onto the curb ever so slightly, as now he's coming under pressure from the two Chevy Camaros hunting him down. And there Hubert is looking still to make a move on that Giannettes, but he's also got that of Jamal Clouden breathing down his neck. A lot of cars in the pits, pretty much 11 cars in pit lane, 10 cars in pit lane at the minute. They all head down towards the chicane, and the Ginetta should be quite decent around this section. Should be able to pull away from the Camaros a little bit, as they're having their own little fight at the minute. Clouden versus Hubert. Clouden really hustling the back of that Chevy Camaro. And Clouden's going to look up the inside if he possibly can. Not really a corner to do so there. Nonetheless, a great little run there from Jamal Clouden. He's in the tow. This could present a good opportunity up towards the bus stop. He does it sooner. He might compromise his run towards the bus stop. He does ever so slightly, but he's in that tow, and he's just, like I said, just compromised his run ever so slightly. Is he going to try and outbrake Hubert? No, he's not. And into the chicane, there you go. Will Clouden opt for clean air? No, Hubert opts for clean air, and into the pits he comes. Meanwhile, Hunt has had that gap cut by O'Brien, and O'Brien taking a little bit of track limits there. Unsworth is being hunted down by O'Reilly there as well, so that gap's come down. An old sim racer has gone ahead of Gary Leach is in the pits, and a few others all bailing towards the pit lane. John Andrews now in, Rob Smith is now in as well, and Carlos has gone round. He's had a moment possibly with somebody, but he has got going once again as they continue on through for another lap around this beautiful and fabulous circuit of Spa-Francorchamps. Now they are starting to get two lapped runners. So Silth not opting to repair the damage, and Duffin is then next in line out of all the pitters. So the guys behind all must have taken some form of repairs or something, as Matt Wright is in P24 behind Duffin, and Taylor also going with him as well. Friedman possibly repaired the damage and has got no, he hasn't either. So a lot of drivers opting not to repair that damage. Maybe get into clean air is the choice. Tipping and Johnson now close to McLaren versus Ginetta, and who they've just caught. They've caught a back marker, and that is Skunky. So Skunky now just trying to stay out. Oh, is that a car in the wall? That is Betterson, and he has come to a grinding halt there. And yeah, major damage to that car for him. Now this should be interesting. Clouden versus Ramsdell, part of the Greasy Bandits squad. So they're starting to get close to one another. O'Reilly's now getting close to Unsworth, so it's all starting to hot up a little bit here towards the end of the first half of this session. But Hunt ahead of O'Brien. They got the Audi of Wheel just in the way as Tordok has set fastest lap of the race. Hunt flashing the lights to let Wheel know that he's coming through, and Wheel's missed his brakes. He's gone deep, and Hunt opting to pit, and O'Brien's gone in with him. Unsworth, meanwhile, has already been passed by O'Reilly. Will O'Reilly continue on through? Yes, they will. Both drivers continue through, and Jamal Clouden up the inside of Ramsdell. Easy as you like. Again, part of the camp, and through he goes into the pits. Looks like it's Marsden. Yes, it is, as Tordok says fastest lap of the race, continue where he left off in the Pro. And a lot of other drivers coming into the pits. What else is happening further down, as a Wright is still on the back of Duffin, trying to give him a hard time. And as we see here, Chevy versus Alpine. Oh, and you see there, Wright going a little bit wide, but it's actually worked for him. That momentum has seemed to have paid off there for him. And he's looking to try and find a move on the Mercedes-Benz. But once again, the straight line of the Mercedes should save him as they come towards the back end of the circuit. But that Alpine is looking menacing towards the back of that Mercedes-Benz. Holton Racer loose now to Hibbs there, so Hibbs on the move, but it's Al O'Reilly leading this race. He's got some clean air. What can he do with that? As Unsworth's in second, Clouden in third, and Ramsdell in fourth. So now Duffin just ahead of Wright. No real other close fights at the minute. It is Wright trying to be a little bit of a nuisance to Duffin, as O'Brien has gone green, and as has Hunt, as they will come out of the pit lane now. They are now exiting pit lane. Hunt will continue the lead, and O'Brien is right behind him as they leave. Marston has now gone green. And where is Hubert? There he is, as he comes down the main back straight, and he is now going to be in a technical on-track third of this pitters. But how long will that last? That is the question. Meanwhile, Duffin and Wright, that gap's opened up ever so slightly, so Matt Wright not able to stick with him at this stage. Now, what will the leaders do at this stage? Looking to possibly pit. They could get one more lap round, but I think that'd be risking it, especially for these guys. And O'Reilly is in. Unsworth surely has to come in now as well. Yes, he does. Clouden, does he risk it? No, they're all going to come in on this lap, and the rest will have to do so as well. So they've chose to go long on their strategy. And Duffin now just becoming a little bit of a mobile chicane here. As he said, he was struggling with the Mercedes around here, and it's clear to see, as he's got two very quick cars of the Ginetta and the Alpine right behind him. Although he's extending that gap now to Marsden, who I think it's just pitted, so obviously he split these two. And right now is looking not just to pass the Mercedes, he's now got to retake the Ginetta as well, as Taylor is on the back of McGowan, as McGowan starts to pull away from him. Carlos with a little bit of damage there as well, so he's trying to pull away from these guys. But it is Duffin ahead of these trainer cars, and McGowan is now onto the back of this group. Where is O'Reilly? He's only now got to his box. Where is Hunt? He's into the chicane. He's got a little bit deep there, and O'Brien might capitalize on this. He might get as close as he dares now to the back of that Porsche. But Hunt trying his very best to hold on to this position and try and score maximum points while he is in front. When is O'Reilly going to be dropped? That is the question. Clouden has been dropped as has O'Reilly, and off they go. Meanwhile, Hunt and O'Brien are coming down the main straight up towards Eau Rouge and Radion, as O'Reilly has been left off the limiter. And I think he's just going to fall in behind these guys as they go down the straight. There he is. There is O'Reilly. And that couple laps out in front has brought the gap down. But he's going to be chasing these two who are very, very fast. And Jamal Clouden has not really jumped anywhere else. He's ended up behind Ramsell and has lost out to his fellow greasy bandits compatriot. But it's Hunt ahead of the Quattro Motorsport O'Brien, and then O'Reilly in that third place position. Hubert's had a great stint as well, so he's still in that fourth place position. But Hunt's hanging on there. Can he hang on to the rest of this race? Because he's doing a fabulous job at the minute defending from O'Brien, who's really giving him a hard time now. Meanwhile, Jamal Clouden has now cleared Ramsell and now trying to chase down Unsworth. Tordok, even with the damage, Porsche has managed to gain some ground. He's in 8th place. Silth, meanwhile, with that damage, Janetta really struggling. He's been caught by Gary Leach and Hibbs. Matthew Duffin ahead of Old Sim Racer. What has happened to the right? He's dropped down to 17th place position. Will Friedman had a race to forget. The reverse grid's not really worked in his favour. And who else was the big losers out of that? Skunky as well was another one, and a few others as well. But Hunt, meanwhile, just trying to hang in there as O'Brien is putting the pressure on him. He has gone a little bit wide. This is possibly the best opportunity O'Brien's been given so far. He needs to stay in the tow. He needs to get that slip shape as they head up towards the bus stop chicane. Clouden looked here last time out, but O'Brien's right there. He's going to try and be later on the brakes than Hunt as they come up towards the bus stop chicane. To the outside he goes. He will have the inside for the next part of the chicane, and he will do so. Hunt gives him the space and respect, and he stays on the outside. They're still side by side, and this is great racing from these two. Hunt and O'Brien down towards turn number 1. They break for 1 as Hunt will have the inside, and O'Brien will try and get that better exit, that switchback, and he is alongside. Are they going to go side by side towards Eau Rouge and Radion? Hunt's going to hang in there. Got a little bit better straight line advantage has the Porsche. But who's the bravest? Are they both going for it? Yes, they are. Hunt's going to hang in there, but he's gone wide. He's into the marbles, and he is lost out there, has he? He's ended up straight line in the chicane. But here comes O'Reilly. It's now going to be 3 wide. As they go down the straight, they're going to split O'Brien. McLaren, Alpine and Porsche going for the leads. And it is O'Reilly who takes the lead. Beautifully done as O'Brien feeds into that second place position ahead of Hunt. Hunt did a brilliant job of hanging in there for as best he possibly can. 63, that is Old Sim Racer. He gets a drive through. And all this going on, Hubert is just seeing it happen in the background, but brilliant racing there. 3 wide down the back straight, and it is Kieran O'Reilly who comes out on top. O'Brien in 2nd place now as he's trying to stick onto the back of that McLaren. Other fights going on. Hubert hanging in there. Clouden has cleared Unsworth and Ramsell. Here comes Tordok, who's looking up the inside of Ramsell now. Sniffing opportunity here. He's looking left, he's looking right. I don't really think O'Brien's got real threat to O'Reilly here. I think that's pretty much done and dusted there. Oh, as Tordok has had contact with Ramsell by the looks of things and has dropped down the order. That's allowed Myers to go around the pair of them, and a position gained for him. Meanwhile, Gary Leach has now passed still. Dibbs has moved up ahead. Hibbs is also trying to work his way onto the back of Silth at the minute. Any other fights that are going on at the minute? We got Friedman just past Johnson and Tipping, and I think Vestley is in the middle of all that. So possibly a car that is a lap down, but O'Brien and O'Reilly are now fighting it out as they head towards the final lap of this race. And O'Reilly will start the final lap here at Spa-Francorchamps. And then into the feature race we will go.
Okay, the leader is on the final lap now. Give it all you can.
And you can see in the background, Hubert has been bringing that gap down rapidly, but he's going to run out of time, I'm afraid. But O'Brien trying to pull away. Meanwhile, there's all these gaggle of cars. Tordok has finally cleared Ramsell. Now Ramsell falls in behind Gary Leach. Still under pressure from Silva, even with that damage to the front of his car. He's still giving Gary Leach a bit of a hard time. Soon Gary started last. He's up into 10th place position. So a good race here for Gary Leach. But the leading pack is O'Reilly, pulling away from O'Brien ahead of Hunt. And Hubert has now brought that gap down. Jamal Clouden nowhere really to these guys now. It is all about the last few places remaining, and for some reason it has put me on drive, which I do not want, as there's a fight about to go down as Hibbs looks to make the move on Silth, and he has done that job. And Silth losing out once again, and it's now Matthew Duffin's turn to pounce on the stricken Janetta. He is really struggling here. You can see how much the car is moving around. Duffin looking up the inside. Silth just about gives him enough racing room. And up the inside goes Duffin, and Silth, there's really not much he can do at the minute. He's just walking, he's just driving wounded at the minute. But meanwhile, O'Reilly still continuing that gap to O'Brien. He's ahead of Hunt and Hubert. This is for the final podium position, and this is, I hope Hunt hangs in there for that third place position, because it is a well-deserved third. He has done brilliantly to defend from the two in front, but lost out to the very end. And Hubert's had a great run through here. He's right on the rear wing of that Porsche. They're going to be quite similar on power here. I think the Chevy probably has a little bit more oomph, and the toe will help him. Hubert coming up to the fast, a left-hander. And I don't think he's going to do it. He's taking a little bit of track limits, but it's this man who's worked himself from the back of the pack. Towards the line he comes. It is Kieran O'Reilly to take a race win here. Round one of Spa goes to him. Kieran O'Reilly wins the sprint. O'Brien wins second place, and Hunt has gone round. He's made a mistake, and Hunt will drop down, and Hubert will take third. Hunt will finish fourth. Clouden in fifth. Unsworth will finish in that sixth place position. Myers is going to finish in seventh ahead of Tordok, ahead of Ramsell. Gary Leach has allowed, or has made a mistake possibly, because Silth has gone through. Hibbs is ahead. Duffin from Leach, from old sim racer McGowan, Wright, Taylor. And here we go again, more fights going on as Fernie and Johnson and Friedman. And it's going to be Fernie ahead of Johnson, ahead of Friedman, ahead of Vesely, ahead of Tipping. And Marston is going to finish in that 23rd position there. Millington will take that 24th, with Carlos in 25th, Smith 26th. And we've still got a fight going on here, as Aberdeen is going to look like he's finishing in 27th position. He's got that sealed, I think, with Wheel in 28th, Andrews in 29th. Skunky trying to hunt them down, with Stardog in between them, and Betterton down in 31st. But Skunky, another race to forget for him there, and he will come to the line. But your race winner from that one was Kieran O'Reilly. Congratulations to him. O'Brien in second, and third Hubert. A great race. We'll be back in a few moments time, as we have a quick break. Drivers will have a quick chance to get themselves prepped and ready for the feature. But until then, we'll see you in a few moments time.
line, give it all you can.
Welcome to reverse grids. Oh, God. Fantastic. Apologies there, ladies and gentlemen. We are back alive. Once again, my Streamlabs Sorry, my Streamlabs decided to do some really weird, wacky things. I am trying my very best to get things back as they should, but we are back live, and like I said, apologies for that, as we are into a 5-minute qualifying session. As the guys are now on track, trying to get themselves sorted as best they can and get themselves some clean air. So they basically only have a few moments to get a lap time on the board. And this is pretty much going to be, that's it, one shot and they're done. And Hubert was the first one out on track, and I think he's leading a train of MSA drivers. Hubert ahead of Silth, ahead of Tordok, and I think there's another one possibly, it's McGowan behind them. So 3 of them, one after the other. Like I said, apologies guys for the stream again, a second time round. I've updated the PC, so it should be working, but I don't know why. But yeah, either way, Hubert there just warming his tyres up by the list there. I'm not sure why, because if he's not careful, he's going to run out of time, and he's invalidated that lap. As I said, this one-shot qualifying is really going to show who separates the men from the boys. And right now, Hubert is not going to be setting that time. Carlos is on a lap, as I think Silth is just ahead of him as well. A few others staying in the pits. O'Brien has to serve a qualifying ban. And Betson in the pits first. So these guys that are in the pits right now are not going to get a lap time on the board. And as long as they cross the line, they are going to get that lap time on the board. So Hubert is the leading car. I am going to try my absolute best to see who is there next. It's going to be Silth to set a lap time first. So here they come. And through the S's they go. And right now it's all about just getting that one lap time on the board. Is Hubert going to get round in time to get another lap time on the board? That is the question. And Silth is right behind him in the tow of the Chevy Camaro, so this is going to be helping him out massively right now. So in the tow comes the Ginetta. It's going to be tight for Hubert. I think he's just going to be able to make it in time to start another lap. But Silth now coming to the line. He's going to be the first one to set a representative time. Here comes Hubert. He's in the chicane. Has he just made it in time? Yes, he has. So he will get a lap time on the board. Meanwhile, Silth first to the line. What's it going to be? No, he did not put a lap time on the board. Neither did Carlos, but Ian McGowan did a 30.0. Then there's O'Reilly coming to the line. He will go 29.3, and Tordok crosses the line. He will get another lap on the board. So Rob Smith crosses the line. Duffin goes ahead of him. Hunt just falls in behind them as they're going to come in thick and fast. Aberdeen goes into P4 and jumps Duffin and a few other. Millington doesn't get a lap time on the board. Who's coming to the line next? 36. That was Jamal Clouden, I believe. Yes, it was. He did not get a lap time on the board, and this is what I mean. This is going to shake up the order. A few coming into the pits. There is Skunky. He's currently on a lap, and we got Johnson now coming to the line. He's also got Wheel just ahead of him as well. So to the line comes Johnson as the lap times are coming down. Stardog goes into P4. And he crosses the line there. Where is Skunky going to fall in all of this? Skunky goes P4. And now we've got the 208. And that is Friedman. He goes P4 now. So we've got the 313. That is Gary Leach. What can he do in his Mercedes-Benz? He comes to the line. And that is good enough for 13th, just behind his teammate, the 999 of the Jackal. And lap time on the board is 17th place position. So a few drivers not getting that lap time on the board. All they needed to do was put a lap time on the board, and that was that. That's all they needed to do. Meanwhile, Hubert and a few others still not got a time, including Carlos. Here is those trainer cars. And McGowan is on another lap as well, so he's hoping to improve. And through the S's, they come down towards the back end of the circuit. Hubert leading this quartet of cars. Chevy, there's the Ginetta, there's the Porsche, and there's the Mercedes-Benz. 4 different manufacturers all close to one another. And Hubert coming to the chicane now. Have they all got a lap time finally on the board? Here we go. What do these guys have done? That is the question. Hubert coming to the line. Is it pole position? No. 4th. Silth goes 2nd. Carlos goes 4th. McGowan does not improve. O'Reilly currently on a 29.3. He improves ever so slightly. Can Dordock take it away? No, he goes 2nd, but O'Reilly, another pole position to his name. And he is going to be starting on pole for this second race, this feature race for 45 minutes. And that was an intense qualifying session nonetheless. And guys, obviously a new stream now, so hit that like button and subscribe to the channel to hit the bell to be notified so you don't miss anything here at SimPlay Motorsport. But what a lap there. What a lap from O'Reilly, half a second faster than anybody else, and that puts him on pole position here for the 45-minute race. And let's so I'll get a poll going. As we get a poll going for who we think is going to win this one. But nonetheless, another pole position to the name of O'Reilly.
20 seconds.
A lot of the MSA boys up there as well. Ian McGowan, another solid qualifying from him.
10 seconds.
To be up there with the quick boys. There we go. There is a poll all set up for you guys to get your votes in on who you think is going to win this feature race. And Duffin has not made the start once again. So he's going to start from pit lane. I'm just trying to sort out the stream a minute. So it is O'Reilly who's going to be starting on pole position ahead of Tordock in 2nd. 3rd is Silth. McGowan is in 4th with Carlos starting in that 5th place position. Hubert starts in 6th. Well, 7th is Friedman. 8th is Skunky. Stardog is 9th with Myers in 10th. Aberdeen is going to start in 11th with Wright starting in 12th. Fernie is in 13th with Duffin starting from pit lane, or maybe not starting this race, with Hunt starting in 15th. Leach starting in 16th with Smith in 17th. 18th is going to be Johnson. Well, 19th with Old Sim Racer. Jackal in 20th. Vesely in 21st. Marsden in 23rd. Wheel starting in 20. He's going to be starting 23rd as O'Brien starts 24th. Millington 25th with Betterton in 26th. Unsworth in 27th with Ramsell 28th. Jamal Clouden 29th. Hibbs in 30th. Tipping 31st. And Taylor bringing up the rear. So get your votes in on who you think is going to this one. Like I said, guys, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell to be notified so you do not miss anything here at SimPlay Motorsport. And also, while you're at it, have a look at our fantastic sponsors as well. Design Manchester and Audio Sports as well. Design Manchester, producers of vinyl graphics and laser engraved gift mugs, clothing, and much more as well, including SimPlay Motorsport. Have a look at their Facebook link in the description. Audio Sport, manufacturers of VWT Transporter T4 audio solutions and styling products. Head over to www.audiosport.co.uk and there is the Facebook link as well. And also, while we have the opportunity, on the screen now is our Patreon support. If you want to be a part of the Patreons in the Discord, simply pay £3 a month to reserve your race number, priority of access to sign-ups and events, so you get first opportunity to enter those events, track suggestions in future events on seasons, and pre-season promo images as well, and auto share your social media links and streams in the Discord and on Instagram as well. But we are moments away here as we now come into the final part of their prep. It is O'Reilly, your race winner from the sprint, on pole position here. A majority are already thinking that O'Reilly is going to be the man to beat. But I'm pretty sure Sylph, Tordock and McGowan are all going to try and give him a hard time here. Reminder as well, the start is not this side of the pit lane, it is the other side. 45-minute race here. Who is going to come out on top here at Spa-Francorchamps? As we're about to get things underway. 42nd and final time for the GT4s this evening. Porsche and McLaren on the front row. 74 versus the 200 of Tordock. Not sure why Sylph is sat there, but it's O'Reilly versus Tordock. As we now wait for the green here at Spa.
Green light. Go, go.
We are green and go as we head towards turn number 1 and up towards Eau Rouge and Raidillon. The McLaren and the Porsche going side by side. Up the hill they go. And they're all flying towards the top end of the circuit as the McLaren and the Porsche go side by side. Everyone else looking like they've managed to survive turn number 1 this time round, and it is all fairly even as they head down towards the turn 4 corner. Who's their latest on the brakes? It is O'Reilly who will lead them through as Tordock's fighting Sylph there and trying to get into some form of rhythm, and Friedman had a great start. He's flown up the order. He's already cleared Carlos and he's now behind the rest of the top guys. McGowan's going side by side with Friedman. He's going to try and go around the outside of him, but can't do it there. Duffin staying in pit lane, so he's not coming out for this race, I do not think, as everyone else gets underway. And Jamal Cloudon's got a lot of work. He's 22nd and being pushed wide here. But as they go down the hill towards Pouan, Tordock has got his mirrors full of Sylph and allowing O'Reilly to extend the gap in his McLaren. Hubert managing to get back past McGowan. Meanwhile, Carlos getting back past Friedman as well, as it's getting a little bit congested here as Stardog is now trying to pass Myers. Where has Skunky gone? There he is. He's just ahead of this squabble of cars, and he's just behind his teammate. You can see multiple cars here, and Hunt in the middle of all that as well. He's looking to work his way through this order. I'm just trying to find a gap to go through. Gary Leach also in the middle of this squabble as well. He goes through right on the curb. Oh, and there goes a car. That is tipping, I believe. Or is it Aberdeen? No, it's Aberdeen. So Gary Leach and Aberdeen come together. Gary Leach trying to get his car going. Meanwhile, Sylph has put in Tordock under a little bit of pressure here as both of them try and hunt down Kieran O'Reilly, and around the outside goes Friedman on Carlos, and he gets that job done that time round. And down towards turn number 1 they go. Hubert now trying to pressurise the back of Silth as well. But while these guys are all battling, they're allowing O'Reilly to disappear. Meanwhile, Jamal Clouden has worked his way up to 20th position. He's now attacking Robert Ramsell up the inside of turn number 1. He goes. A good exit there from the Chevy allows him to get ahead of Ramsell. And Ramsell's under pressure from his own teammate Millington from the Cam duo, and through goes Millington as well. So Millington making a move on his teammate, but O'Reilly out in front as Silth is attacking Tordok, but Silth is under pressure from his own friend Hubert right behind him, and it's all quite close racing here. As Carlos just on the back of it, Skunky actually, sorry, on the back of this squabble of cars, trying to work his way to the front of the order. We see here Friedman going side by side with Old Sim Racer, and he gets that job done. Anything else going on at the minute? It's all looking pretty clean so far, and Hibbs around the outside of, who is that? That looks like Rob Smith. Yes, it is. And Rob Smith and Unsworth have come together, and Unsworth has come off worse as Fernie's now cleared John Andrews and Taylor and is working his way through the order. Gary Leach now with major damage in front of his car, working his way through the order as Will and Aberdeen have both ended back in the pits and look like they're not going to be coming out for a while. O'Reilly meanwhile got it quite under control here as Tordok is too busy looking behind instead of looking forwards, as he's got Silth right behind him. And all the way down to Skunky is this a squabble of cars. It's looking very competitive at the minute towards the front of this pack. A reminder, some of these guys are carrying ballast as well, so they're going to be a bit heavy at this stage of the race. Friedman, after clearing Carlos, he's now on the back of McGowan. And what can he do with him as Wright, meanwhile, is still trying to find a way past on Myers. He's still got Hunt behind him and Stardog as well. As O'Brien has just made a move on Michael Johnson, and Johnson's dropped down the order. Old Sim Racers just behind him as well. Vesti, I think, has just made a move on... No, sorry, Millington is about to make a move on the BMW driver as Clouden now up to 17th place position. A great recovery drive from him at this stage, but O'Reilly up the hill and pulling away from the cars behind as they're all trying to stick with him as best they possibly can. Track limits is going to be the main thing as well here. If they take too many track limits, they're going to lose out. Silf, meanwhile, under pressure there from Hubert. He's looking to the outside and loses out there, and is going to be under some pressure from McGowan. Nope, McGowan's got his own problems with Friedman right behind him instead. Now Skunky's trying to join Friedman on the back of him, but can't do so at this stage. And Friedman up the inside of McGowan. McGowan made us a slight mistake, and Friedman is now through. They're still within touch of O'Reilly, as O'Reilly's still trying to build that gap as best he possibly can, but at this stage they're not really able to give him any threats. Myers, meanwhile, still pressure from Wright, who's got Hunt and Stardog right behind him. And once again, O'Brien just trying to work his way through this order. Jamal Clouden has now got onto the back of Marsden and trying to find a way through. But it is Johnson seems to be in a bit of the cork in the bottle at this stage. Meanwhile, O'Reilly's gap has come down to 0.8 of a second, so they're all close to one another. Meanwhile, Hubert has made a mistake, and Will Friedman has chosen to pounce now So the Chevy driver had it quite comfortable, and now he's got the Porsche driver of Will Friedman right behind him. Is he going to set him up into the chicane? As Hubert's gone deep, Friedman looking to try and get the cut back. Oh, and he's gone round. Will Friedman had done all that hard work and has gone round. And a mistake made there. He's going to stay ahead of Myers. He should do. But all that hard work, and he's just let it all go as Tordok has set fastest lap of the race now. But he's still got Silk breathing down his neck. And Tordok trying just to basically stick with O'Reilly. He's there or thereabouts, but can't really do anything with it. Meanwhile, Carlos now is on the attack of McGowan. And there, the Chevy Grunt pulling away from the Porsche. Top 5 at the minute, guys, separated by 5 different manufacturers. McLaren, Porsche, Ginetta, Chevy and Mercedes. A brilliant variety of cars there, but it is the McLaren leading the way quite comfortably at this stage. A few changes there as we see O'Brien passing Stardog. That's another position gained as Jamal Clouden still trying to make moves. Old Sim Racer is done. He's in 16th. His next target is Marston. And down towards the sweeping right-hander they go. Stardog now losing out to O'Brien. Hunt is now the next target for O'Brien, and this fight is going to resume once again from the first race. And Wright just pulling away from them, not able to stick with Myers though, as Friedman is just ahead of these guys. He's got a lot of work to do to get onto the back of these cars. But now Silth is really pushing. He's pretty much pushing that Porsche of Tordok. Obviously, like I said, the straight line advantage of the Porsche just helping against the Ginetta, but Silth is closer than he's ever been now. He's looking to the outside, but he's not far enough alongside, and he hasn't got the grunt. As soon as he pulls out of the toe, the Ginetta is probably banging on the limiter right now. And Tordog there just pulls away ever so slightly, as you can see. Just I think the Ginetta is hitting the rev limiter, but he's still making it work. He's right on the rear wing of that Porsche and can't do anything about it. Meanwhile, in the back, Carlos looks like he's got the job done on McGowan. And upper position goes Carlos. What else is going on? We got the two Quadrant Motorsport guys going. Adam Rice clearly made a mistake somewhere. He's ended up dropping behind Hunt and now O'Brien. Can he stay ahead of Stardog Barkla? And he does. So Stardog, though, is going to have a better exit out of turn number 1. And Stardog putting some pressure on the Alpine. And we have lost Matthew Duffin, and Smith is in the pits. He's got damage to his car, and I believe Matthew Duffin has had to shoot. But here we see Wright having to defend from Stardog. Is Stardog going to get the job done? No, he's not. Wright makes a mistake. And Stardog there just not able to get the job done on O'Brien. Wright, I mean. And O'Reilly still got that comfortable gap to Tordok. Still giving him some hard time. Hubert kind of in no man's land as Carlos has now done McGowan. Skunky has now caught McGowan. So what can he do from there? As the leaders have all kind of spread out. Now, Hunt and O'Brien are continuing their fight from the sprint race. But through the S's they go. And Hunt has lost out a fight between O'Brien this time. So O'Brien has got the job done this time round. We're still possibly backing off ever so slightly from O'Reilly. Maybe the two of them can finally work together to stop O'Reilly from pulling away as much. And maybe try and get him in the strategies. As they work through the chicanes, again, not much fight going on through there. Johnson coming onto the back of Stardog. There's a big bit of dirt getting kicked up. I think that was possibly old Sim Racer. He's attacking Marsden, and when he gets right on the back of him. And can the Chevy driver have a look up the inside? No, he cannot. But he should have a better straight line come up the top of Eau Rouge Radio, and we're going to stay on board with this fight. Chevy versus Mercedes versus Ginetta. It should go the way of the Mercedes, but Ultimate Racer's not had the best run through Eau Rouge Radion. But here it comes in the slipstream. See, Skunky's got close as well. We'll keep an eye on that fight. But again, not quite enough. Is the Mercedes? No, it's not. So he's going to have to back off a little bit. And old Sim Racer has to fall in line. O'Reilly, meanwhile, has still got that back to Tordok. They're just there. They're not able to do anything with O'Reilly just yet, but they're just there, keeping themselves in play. Meanwhile, McGowan still trying to chase Carlos down as Skunky is behind him. Friedman, ever since he's had his spin, has not really been able to go on the attack. And if anything, McGowan has come back at Carlos this lap. And McGowan has a bit of a slide himself through that sector. Skunky going a little bit wide also. And again, we'll keep an eye on those track limits. And Johnson now with Clouden right behind him. These guys start to give each other a bit of a headache through this sector. Three cars batting it out at the minute. It is Style Dog though leading this group 13, 14 and 15 at the minute. Into the left-hander they go. And Stardog's pulled away from Johnson there, and it's now Clouden putting the pressure on the McLaren driver. And through towards the bus stop chicane that they come. Over the curb they go. Clouden there trying to find every inch that he can possibly get. Is he going to try and send it up into the chicane? Into the hairpin, he's not quite far enough. Meanwhile, Myers has just lost his attacking O'Brien here as these two are going side by side, going down towards the Eau Rouge and Radion corner. Myers is going to try and hold on as long as he possibly can. They're side by side up Eau Rouge and Radion. O'Brien had to hit the brakes. He's gone deep. He's managed to skim the wall ever so slightly. Where is Myers? There he is. He's flashing O'Brien to say, look, you cut the trap, mate. Give the position back. And Hunt is now on the move. So I think all was fair there. I think O'Brien should be giving that position back. He did gain an advantage off the circuit. And Hunt now goes and separates them. So that's going to even make it more trickier for him. So he either gives up two positions or he leaves it to the stewards to decide. Meanwhile, Carlos, McGowan and Skunky are all nose to tail here. And here's Carlos trying his very best to stay ahead of McGowan. But Skunky's come onto the scene now, making it a bit more of a headache for him. And so far, no mistakes from Carlos just yet. He's managing to hold off the two Mercedes as the Porsche of Will Friedman just behind them as well. Hunt, meanwhile, is still on the back of O'Brien. Myers just with them as well, and Wright also. So some great fights up and down the order as Jamal Clouden looks like he's got damage to the front end of his car. He was fighting Johnson. He's got damage to his car, whereas Stardog, he's ended up with damage also, so he's dropped down the order. So possible contact between those three. Drive through for the 663 of Johnson for track limits. And there we go, the first drive through from track limits, as once again the top three still within 2 seconds of one another, and the pit window has now opened as the leaders work their way through, and Myers into the pits instantly to get that done and dusted. Excuse me. And Johnson coming in to serve his drive through. Millington in, as Fernie and Taylor have been quite close to one another. They've opted into pit straight away. So far we've had some great racing here in the GT4s once again. Meanwhile, Carlos is pulled away from McGowan, and McGowan's got his own fight with Skunky, and McGowan's allowed the two old school racers through. Through the S's they go. Now can they do anything about Carlos? That is the question. They've lost a little bit of time, they lost a little bit of momentum, but they can work together to bring that gap back down. Meanwhile, O'Brien still ahead of Hunt, ahead of Wright. Cloudens with a little bit of damage to the front end of his car. What can he maintain with that at this stage? And everyone else is fairly spread. Oh, John Andrews has a moment. Nearly ended up in the pit lane, but he has managed to collect it and keep it facing the right way as they're all in pit lane at this moment in time. O'Reilly once again opening the gap to 1.5. Not setting blistering laps by the looks of things, and he's now got Silth actually, sorry. Silth has made the position ahead of Tordok. Now, that Ginetta was very good in the corners, and you can see he's pulling away in this middle sector. The straight line disadvantage of the Ginetta is going to be hurting him here. Tordok is going to be bringing that gap down in the toe already, and look, he's already gaining and gaining and gaining and gaining. He's right back on the rear wing of the Ginetta, and still doing everything he can to keep the Porsche behind. Is the Porsche going to send it up the inside? Tordok looks to do it. Still, can he brake later? Yes, he can. And once again, using the advantage of the grip of the car, and Tordok's thinking, I don't want to be in this traffic. I want the clean air. So into the pits he goes. Hubert's carrying on. Carlos carrying on. Skunky's into the pits as Friedman decides to carry on. So who out of all the stoppers came out the front? It is Myers ahead of Millington, ahead of Friedman, Fernie. Taylor's coming out. Stardog's now coming out. And Jackal's now out. Leach is out. And Smith is out also. But a lap down by the looks of things, as Aberdeen is in pit lane as well. So now Silth has been released. Can he do anything about O'Reilly? Problem is, he's now out of the slipstream that he was getting from the Porsche. So the straights, he's going to be losing out. So this first sector was 2 seconds, and he's lost 4 tenths just on the first sector alone on O'Reilly. We go back to old Sim Racer and Marsden, who are still fighting it out. Who else there? Ramsel's now attacking Vesely. The BMW just seems to be struggling a little bit. It's nice to see a BMW back, but looks like Ramsel might have the opportunity to try and get past him here. He's in the toe, but Ramsel with a little bit of damage as well. Old Sim Racer's just dropped off the back of the Ginetta. So we go back to Ramsel, possibly an opportunity up at the right-hander. No door opening there, so Ramsel has to go a little bit longer as the BMW driver goes a little bit wide. As O'Reilly now goes through the sector 2 split, we'll see where the gap is between those two. and it's 1.3. So Silth on that middle sector has gained a lot of time, but also we have got traffic in between them, so that is possibly where he has gained that time. Meanwhile, Ramsell still trying to find a way through, has Tordok's gone green, as has Skunky, and Skunky's not a million miles away behind him, so that gap is still possible there. So Skunky possibly not decided to change tyres, while Tordok has. Ramsell still looking for that opportunity. Oh, he nearly hits the back of the BMW, and the BMW holds on to the position. Meanwhile, Wright is now attacking Hunt. And O'Reilly and Silth both come into the pits, one after the other. So Silth did bring that gap down massively as they now head into the braking zone of the bus stop chicane, and we are in the halfway stage, and Hunt's gone deep. Wright's going to go around the outside, and Hunt's cut the chicane. Hunt's going to have to lose a little bit of time here to Wright. And towards turn number 1 they go, as Hunt holds on to that position, and Wright had to take a more controversial line there, a bit more tucked in, as Hubert is now your new race leader, as your top two are in the pit, O'Reilly and Silth. Such a long pit lane here, and it really does hurt them in this session. Now we've got to keep an eye on where Tordok is, and Skunky wasn't too far behind Tordok in the end. It was 2 seconds the gap, 2.1, so it's 3 seconds. So Tordok's pulling away from Skunky. So Skunky, I think, has left the old tyres on, while Tordok's possibly changed the tyres, hoping to get a better grip, as Taylor meanwhile has got Leach right behind him. So as Tordok comes up to the chicane, where is O'Reilly? He is stopped, as is Silth. McGowan now comes to a stop. So Tordok possibly had a very good outlap here. Skunky was trying to go with him possibly. 3 seconds is the gap between those two. I think it's extended a little bit more. No, it stayed the same. So Tordok matched by... yeah, Tordok must have changed tyres, because O'Reilly and Silth are already up the hill. Well, Tordok is actually nowhere in sight to them. So Tordok's lost out quite a bit here, possibly with those fresh tyres. As McGowan's now gone green and released, and away he goes. He's dropped off from those guys. The question is, what does Will Friedman do now? He's been left out there a lap on his own. What can he do from this position? But O'Reilly and Silth now 7/10 separating them, and this could be an interesting fight to the end between the McLaren and the Ginetta. Silth looking quite quick at this stage. O'Reilly possibly struggling now with grip. Where was Tordok in the middle of all this? He's got to clear Andrews first. As Friedman's now decided to pit. O'Brien's in as well, as is Hunt and Wright, and all these guys will not be able to get another lap in, so they have all opted to pit. Hubert has decided to go on another lap, so we'll see where this puts him. But everyone else has to pit now, as will Andrews, and right now he's got Tordok right behind him, and Andrews doesn't have to get out of the way, and he probably isn't going to. But it's still O'Reilly and Silth going at it, and this is the most pressure O'Reilly has pretty much had all race, as Silth has been putting so much pressure on the back of Tordok, and Tordok has now cleared Andrews, and Skunky's just dropped off the back of Tordok, as Tordok's got up and going, and away he goes. Now, this should be interesting for Hubert. If he ends up in an incident with another car, or ends up losing a lot of time, he's not going to make the pit window. So through the chicane goes O'Reilly and Silth, and I think Friedman not going to be near these two. But it's going to be an interesting fight between him and Tordok, as Friedman is stopped, but he's near the bottom of the pit lane as well. Oh, that Silth looked like he had an opportunity there, O'Reilly, but it was just a camera. Meanwhile, Unsworth has come out the pit, and he is right in front of Old Sim Racer. Meanwhile, a freshly painted Camaro behind them of Jamal Clouden hunting them down. Friedman has gone green. And where does that put him against Tordok? There's Tordok. And Friedman has jumped Tordok. Friedman's going to be a little bit slow, though, coming out the pit lane. But Tordok not quite close enough there. So Friedman, playing the strategy, using the clean air, has got away with it. Here comes Hubert. It's 15 seconds to the pit window. And he needs to be at least in pit lane for it to count. 9, 8, oh, it's going to be so tight. I don't think he's done it. I think he's missed the window. It's closed. Pit window closed, and Hubert has not done his stop. 1 lap extra has really hurt his race. I will have to get that confirmed, but Hubert there not completing the pit strategy. We shall see when he comes out of pit lane. Meanwhile, Clouden has already cleared old Sim Racer. He's now trying to clear Unsworth. He's looking left, he's looking right. Can Jamal Clouden in the Chevy Camaro find a door opening? You know, Tordok is already on to the back of Will Friedman, so he's going to keep him busy for a while. But Hubert making a big strategy mistake there. No, Riley's pulling away from Silk once again. Seems to be ebbing and flowing between those two. Friedman and I think Tordok are going to be fighting for that third and final podium position. And here comes Jamal Clouden up the inside of the Aston Martin. Is the job done? I believe it is. Yes, it is. He'll be up the inside for then the next swooping right-hander, but Unsworth's going to keep it pinned around the outside. He's going to lose time and traction as he hits the dirt. He's still alongside him, though. He's still going with him. Meanwhile, Hubert has not gone green yet, as Kieran O'Reilly and still go down the main straight. Did Jamal Clouden get the position? Yes, he did, as Unsworth then had to back out, and Hubert has gone, and that has not worked out for him at all. The strategy, that 1 extra lap, has now forced him to carry a penalty. It would have put him a solid 3rd place ahead of Friedman and Tordok, but it's not going to work out that way. Big mistake here from Hubert. So strategy call gone wrong there. Tordok, though, still giving Friedman a bit of a hard time, but can't do anything at this stage. The Quadra Motorsport boys has now cleared Hunt, who's being chased by Myers. These guys are all kind of just separated out evenly. Is now old Sim Racer in the slipstream of the Aston Martin of Unsworth. Can he do anything to him up towards the end of the Camel Straight? No, he can't. The back end just stepping out ever so slightly there. Who has 7 to fight? Ramsel is still fighting with Vesely, and he's right up the rear wing of him. And the BMW has gone wide. That's going to allow Ramsel to come sweeping back underneath. Is the job done? Not quite, but he does get it done in the hairpin. Great stuff there from Ramsel. Another position gained for him. And Tordok and Friedman still close to one another. Now we've got a 3-way fight for Unsworth, Old Sim Racer and Marsden. Reminder as well, guys, if I am really messing up your names, then please feel free to let me know in the Discord how you pronounce your names. Like I said, my dyslexia probably doesn't help me in the best way, but Yeah, feel free to let me know if I am pronouncing anything badly. As these three are going at it hard. Oh, an old sim racer makes a mistake. But he gets right back on the rear wing of the Aston Martin. We'll have to come back to that fight momentarily. Because it looks like, once again, old sim racer and Tordok are close. They're catching Hubert, and there's an Audi in between them. And Will needs to get out of the way as best he possibly can without hindering the leaders. Oh, Will Freeman's pretty much pushing the Audi. And here we go, the Ginetta versus the Mercedes. Old sim racer and Marsden going at it. And once again, the Ginetta just losing out in straight line. Now Ramsell's cleared the BMW. Here comes the Ginetta of Fernie. And through Eau Rouge and Radion, and there you go. Ramsell's going to be under a little bit of pressure from this BMW. Here he comes. The straight line from that BMW is mighty. Probably one of the strongest in a straight line, and it just out-drags that Aston Martin. And Ramsell, after all that hard work, is back behind him, but the BMW has gone deep. He has gone wide. He is going to have to give up that time, which he does so, and as he does, he's going to lose out to Fernie as well. Fair effort there from him there, as Bessie does give back the possession. Well done to him. Could have been a lot worse, as I think Hubert is going to try and help his teammate out, Tordok, now, and try and hold up Friedman. He's going to get a penalty for not serving his drive-through, for serving his pit stop. So can he help his teammate out just by holding up the other Porsche driver? Towards turn number 1 they go. Meanwhile, O'Reilly comfortably in front of Silth. No threat from him at this stage. Then what can Tordok do? Friedman currently in the middle of a MSA racing sandwich. And Tordok a much better run through Eau Rouge and Radion. And you see there, Hubert staying to the left-hand side to possibly give the toe to the other Porsche, his teammate. And can he try and outbrake him through towards the right-hander? Friedman's going to fight this as much as he can. He stays to the outside, but Friedman losing out here. And Tordok gets through. A little bit of teamwork there from the Chevy Camaro of Hubert, and Friedman loses that position. Well, the fights that we got going on. Old Sim Racer still trying to find a way on Unsworth. Who else is there? It's Fernie's now caught Ramsell as well, and Stardog has got Gary Leach for company. Both of them had a decent start, but it's kind of gone downhill ever since. And here comes Fernie. You can see Ramsell's got damage to his car, and is just walking wounded now. He's been out-dragged by a Ginetta. That's how much damage that Ramsell has got on his Aston Martin, and can't seem to fight with it at this stage. He's still on the back of Fernie, but Fernie holds on to that position. Tordok here has not given up on the P3 position. He's currently sit there at the minute, but he wants to get it on the track. Both of them running a little bit wide there. Tordok going to the outside, but Hubert is still racing him. He's still getting harder, and that's going to allow Will Friedman to come back into the equation and go around the outside of Tordok. And Tordok now back under pressure from Will Friedman. McGowan's gone off. Possibly made contact with Skunky by the looks of things. He's got going again, and Skunky's dropped down the order big time. O'Brien has now got past Skunky. Oh, and Skunky's dropped it in the wall again. And that's going to allow Matt right through. Is Hunt now going to get him? Yes, he is. Myers, another one. Oh, it's going to be close between these two. I don't think he is, as Skunky, in a solid position, has lost out here. Meanwhile, the two greasy bandits racing duo of Hibbs and Clouden are going to swap positions here. Hibbs allowing his teammate through, and through he goes. Meanwhile, Hubert has pulled away from Tordok, as Tordok has got Friedman this time breathing down his neck. This has been a close, intense fight between these two Porsche drivers, and to be fair, the respect has been given, so it's been great racing to watch. Unsworth still trying to keep old Sim Racer behind him. But the Mercedes driver can't seem to be able to do anything with it at the minute. Gary Leach still ahead of Stardog, and Stardog's going up the inside of turn number 1. Gary's gone wide, and Stardog will get the job done, or is Gary going to try and out-drag him? A little bit of damage to the front end of Gary Leach's car. Up the hill they go, and Gary Leach losing a position there. Back to the front, and Tordok has brought that cap down to Hubert once again, but Friedman's gone with him. Also, Silth has brought the gap down to O'Reilly to a second, so we'll see how that all works out. Maybe the traffic hasn't worked in his favour, but here comes the guys fighting for that third place. It's really between Friedman and Tordok, because the penalty is coming the way of Hubert. Alright, now it's all stalemates there at this stage. Myers has caught Skunky, so Skunky's got a little bit of front end damage. And old Sim Racer also still trying to make a move on Unsworth. Taylor's onto the back of the Jackal. I think Jackal's got damage to the front end of his McLaren, if I remember rightly. Yeah, he has, so he's struggling with possibly a little bit of front aero. And here we go, Hubert, Tordok and Friedman going for it once again. Friedman's so close to a third place position at this minute. I think it must have been traffic for the leaders, because Silth has now lost 2.3 seconds to, he's lost, sorry, 1.3 to O'Reilly, and O'Reilly's gapped him once again. And Hubert once again holding up Tordok. This is bringing Friedman. He's just dropped off the back a little bit, has Friedman, but once again these two start squabbling, and that just brings Friedman back into the equation. Look at that, Tordok looking to go around the outside. There's going to be another Ginetta there. Oh, he's just managed to avoid hitting Aberdeen there, and into the chicane they go. Hubert's gone a little bit deep. He's got a little bit wide. Oh, they've not managed to make contact. Friedman right there, right on the back of Tordok. He can't allow, if he goes through on a Chevy, he has to go with him, because as soon as he do so, they're going to be holding each other up, and Tordok will disappear. And here comes Friedman. He's right on the back bumper of Tordok. Really close to one another. He's got a little bit wide. Too much speed carried through there, and he's not going to be in an opportunity to attack. Hubert now under pressure from both Porsches. Tordok trying everything he possibly can to clear the Chevy Camaro, but he can't do so. This is great racing between these three, and there goes Tordok. He's looking up the inside. Job done, and Friedman's gone with him. Just as they think they're swapping positions or gaining the track, Friedman is going to have to be ballsy. He's going to have to go side by side with the Chevy. He doesn't. And Tordok clears Hubert. Friedman needs to clear him now. He cannot allow Tordok to get too far ahead. Here comes Friedman up the inside. Oh, he makes contact with Tordok. Missed his brakes. Tordok gets collected. Friedman goes round. Friedman waits for him. They get going. Where is McGowan? Nowhere to be seen. As Tordok would now probably hold on to that third place position. And Hubert, because after all of that, he stays in that third place position. Was great racing between the two, but sadly it came to an end where Friedman just missed his brakes and lost out there. He's now going to be under pressure from McGowan. What else is going on out on track? Not a lot else. Unsworth has dropped behind Marsden and Old Sim Racer, so he's possibly had a moment somewhere. Millington is ahead of Fernie, and Fernie has suddenly got a form of pace. He's hunting down Millington, dropped to Ramsell, and Taylor has cleared, or has he? No. So the BMW is now chasing the Ginetta. And guys, get your votes in for driver of the day. It's been a fantastic night's worth of racing once again from the GT4s. Here comes the BMW Vessi up the inside, but not far enough. And Taylor will hold on to position, or will he? Because he's gone round, and the BMW and the Ginetta have come round. They both go around, and they're both going to lose out here. But O'Reilly comes out of the final corner to start his final lap here. And Silt, once again, has had no answer. He's not been able to chase him down at all. But Friedman has dropped McGowan as well. So McGowan's made a mistake himself. O'Brien's had a quiet night, a great race one. But race two, he's kind of been no man's land. He's had his teammate right behind him. So two Alpines doing a solid job, as Miles is also once again still putting that pressure on Skunky. Vessi has got going, and Taylor has gone ahead of, and Aberdeen ended up back in the pits. Wheel ended up back on track as well, and Aberdeen pulling to the side there. He has made it to the end of the session pretty much. But O'Reilly, what a masterclass. Guys, get your votes in on driver of the day. It's been an absolute masterclass from this man, driven brilliantly from lights to flag. Not taking the Grand Slam. He's not got the fastest lap to his name. And Tordok holding on to that third place position and the fastest lap to his name. It's been another great night's worth of racing. And make sure, guys, you tune in tomorrow night as well. I'm not sure who will be bringing the commentary. Hopefully it will be Lexi bringing you the action for the Pro-Ams. If not, it'll probably either be myself or Matthew Duffin. But either way, make sure you tune in, as the Pro-Ams will be taken to the circuit tomorrow night and see what they can do around this fantastic circuit. Oh, Silt there in the background, big slides. So make sure you tune in for that. And obviously Thursday night will be the return of Sweet and Sticky in your box of KLF, aka Kelly Davis and Matthew Duffin, bringing you all the action for the pros. And make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell to be notified. And also have a look at our fantastic sponsors, Audio Sport and Design Manchester as well. But coming through the final few corners here, Kieran O'Reilly, what a masterclass. McLaren have been dominant here tonight, taking both race wins, taking the pole position, and he is going to take the feature race here. Kieran O'Reilly wins round 4 of the season. Silt is going to finish in that second place position, gave it a good hard go, but nowhere to be seen in the end. on the road will be Hubert, but where will he drop down after the penalty has been applied? He crosses the line in third place position, 132nd time penalty added to his name. We'll see where that drops him down. Fastest lap to his name. Tordok will finish in that P4 position, but that will change as well with Hubert's penalty. Fifth is Friedman. Sixth is McGowan. O'Brien is going to come ahead of Wright. They're going to come home for a 7th and 8th place. Hunt in 9th, and Skunky will finish in that 10th place position ahead of Myers in the end. Jamal Clouden, no lap time on the board for qualifying, drops into 12th. 13 is going to be the way of Hibbs. Solid job for him this evening. Old Sim Racer is then going to finish in that 14th place position ahead of Marsden in that 15th. Unsworth is in 16th place position with Millington still defending from Fernie as they go into the final chicane. He's gone deep, and that is going to give the possession to Fernie, and Fernie is going to get that 17th place position. Great job from him there. Millington in 18th. Ramsdell will finish in 19th. The Jackal will finish in 20th position. Stardog 21st. And here we go, Gary Leach and the BMW of Vesey still going at it. Vesey coming into the final corner. Is he just going to hang in there from the Mercedes driver? To the line they come. It is Vesey ahead of Leach, ahead of Taylor, ahead of Tipping. Johnson in 26th, Smith in 27th, Andrews 28th, Betterton 29th, Wheel 30th, and Aberdeen in 31st. Here comes Tippings to the line. But what a race there. Brilliant stuff. Guys, get your votes in on driver of the day. And I will get hopefully the comms box working. So I'll be back in a few moments' times, guys. So hopefully, if I've managed to do this correctly, you should be able to still hear me and anybody who ends up joining the Discord party. So anybody in the top 3, but I doubt we'll hear from anyone, to be fair. But nonetheless, in the way, Hubert, where did he finish in the end? Hubert, where is his penalty? There he is. He's 23rd. And what a shame for him there. It's been a great night's worth of racing once again. And the polls are coming in for driver of the day. Currently 5 votes. It's split between Silth and O'Reilly. And at this minute, no one's coming in to join me in the box. I'm going to have to give it to O'Reilly. What a drive from him there. He has been faultless all night long, and I think it was going to be his to lose tonight. And in the end, everyone threw everything at him, but in the end, it was Kieran O'Reilly who took the win. No one in the comments box. Well, while that's all going on, let's have a look at the drivers and teams standings, shall we? As I'll open that up, no one's going to join me in the Discord, so I will disconnect from there. Kieran O'Reilly on his 50th appearance, reminder as well, and Wright as well, both on their 50th appearance for that race too, and O'Reilly carries it on to a win, and 2 race wins. That's given McLaren their 100th win as well, so O'Reilly, brilliant stuff from him there. And I believe, if I'm correct, Matthew is actually putting in the results as we speak, or is he waiting for it to update? But nonetheless, we will come back to the results, I think, another time round. But nonetheless, it has been a brilliant night's worth of racing here at SimPlay Motorsport. Reminder to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell to be notified so you don't miss anything here at SimPlay Motorsport. And like I said, tune in tomorrow night because either myself or Lexi will be bringing you all the action for Pro-Am as well. I've been Dan Davis. This has been SimPlay Motorsport. Good night.